In topic 7.3, we're going to talk about something that's called the thermal inversion or temperature inversion. And this is a weather pattern that can form. And what happens in normal conditions, generally as you go up in the troposphere, the air gets cooler. You have the warmest air, and then as you go up in the troposphere, it becomes colder. And so when you have normal conditions, any pollutants, any air pollutants that are present get mixed in a larger volume of the atmosphere. But sometimes conditions form when a layer of warm air gets trapped in the middle. It sort of warm air gets sandwiched between layers of colder air. What happens is this prevents the air pollutants from mixing thoroughly inside the entire troposphere. And that air traps these pollutants closer to the surface, and that can lead to the buildup of higher levels of these pollutants close to the ground. Basically, a temperature inversion traps pollution at ground level. And this, when these conditions form and there's large amounts of air pollution, can result in heavy concentrations of smog and particulate matter or other air pollutants as well. We could sometimes, you may see pictures sometimes of people like hiking on mountains where a temperature inversion is formed, and actually it contains the layer of clouds below the surface of the mountain. So that's what you're seeing in this picture. I know some people go out and try to seek this because it's an interesting phenomenon to see and photograph. We have a couple other models here that show how this happens. So on the right, we see sort of a graph that shows the temperature of the air with altitude, and this shows that temperature inversion, where you have this inverted layer where there's a warm layer sandwiched between two colder layers in the atmosphere. Again, trapping pollutants in this area down below. These conditions form both based on weather patterns, but also on topography. Often what we have, and this is an example of what you have along the coast in California, where you have the Pacific Ocean and you have sort of coastal mountains, and then you have the Sierra Nevada mountains farther inland, and then in that central valley area between the two, that is an area where we can often see temperature inversions forming as cool air settles, and then you have warm air above it. And so pollutants like photochemical smog can build up in these areas. It also happens in areas in which we have along the oceans, where you have a cool breeze coming in from the oceans, which can form under, and then warm air from the land can get lifted up over, and this is another situation that can form a temperature inversion and trap those pollutants.